Randomness? It's a girl thing. Planning your entire future with a guy you've only spoken 3 words to? It's a girl thing. Online shopping problem? It's a girl thing. A full camera roll? It's a girl thing. Going to the bathroom together? It's a girl thing. You name it. It's a girl thing. Hi, and welcome back to the It's a Girl Thing podcast. You're here with me, Kate, as always, and today I have another exciting guest for you. This is Julia. She is the owner of No Bad Days Skincare here in New Zealand, hence why it's so close to home for me, and I'm super excited to have her on today. Hi, Julia. Do you want to introduce yourself and who you are in your day-to-day life?
Hi. First of all, thank you so much for having me, Kate. I'm Julia, as you said. I'm 27 years old, originally from Hungary, but New Zealand has been my home for the last 15 years. I'm an introverted extrovert, I would say. I enjoy socializing, getting to know people, but also love being at home. And also in my spare time, I love to box and kickbox to stay fit. And yeah. That's mainly me without the business.
I love it. Kickboxing and boxing, that's like a skill that I would not have ever.
I don't compete, but it's one of those sports that for some reason stuck with me. That's the only one that I consistently went to. I've tried many sports, but yeah, I've been doing this for the last maybe 4 or 5 years, and it's just something that gets me up in the morning.
That's a good amount of time. Hey, if it works for you, it works for you. I don't think I have the coordination for that.
Yeah, you would. Yeah. I mean, don't think I was very good at the beginning.
That's true. I guess everything you start where you start and then
Absolutely.
work your way up. Okay, so let's talk No Bad Days. Do you want to tell us a bit about the brand and where it kind of came from and how it kind of works in your everyday life?
No Bad Days Skincare is a brand that I started 2 years ago. I launched in November 2022, but obviously worked on it earlier. No, and biggest focus is providing quality skincare and products that are suitable for most skin types and can easily be incorporated into your existing routine. I think that was the main thing that I wanted to achieve with the brand. But at the same time, it's a brand that provides a community. It provides a space for people to have a conversation about their skin, about their mental health, and to inspire each other. So I've always wanted to inspire confidence in women. I can get into my story later, but really that's where it started. I had a bit of low confidence with my skin and found something that worked for me, wanted to share it with the world and do the same for others.
It's so cool. I especially think skincare is such like a subjective thing because yes, everybody's slightly different, but then you might have a skincare solution, and out of the 7 billion people in the world, it works for like 2% of them. So that's still 2% you'd be
Good
happy.
enough. Yeah. Yeah,
Whereas it's not one
absolutely.
size fits all, but it is one size fits some people.
Definitely. And I have that with my everyday business life as well. If I can help one person, if I get a comment or a review or or a repost, whatever, if I'm helping someone, then I'm already doing my job here.
It's like, yeah, one person can be all the difference.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, let's dig into some questions then. Gonna start off with the tried and true, my favorite question that I love to ask. What is your favorite thing about being a girl?
This is such a tough one because there's so many cool things, but it's one of those questions where it's like, how do you answer that? I, other than dressing up in pretty dresses and special occasions, because I love doing that, I would say that being a girl is defying expectations. I guess we keep proving that girls and girls are way stronger and more resilient than society often gives us credit for, whether that's as a kid or in your career or personal achievements, motherhood, whatever that may look like for you. Yeah, so my favorite thing about being a girl is probably breaking down the stereotypes. Might be exhausting, but it's empowering at the same time. And yeah, that's a kind of an odd answer, I guess, but But I love challenging things.
Hey, it's your answer, so that's really what matters. That's actually very different to the things I've heard so far, so I love it. I guess it's very true because we spend so much time fighting against what people tell us we're supposed to be doing. So
Exactly.
any success that comes out of it feels 10 times bigger because you've already had to overcome that much more to get there.
Yeah.
What made you decide to start your own skincare brand?
Well, I always had an entrepreneur spirit. My parents own a business, so I watched them, obviously grew up watching them do that. So I've always had an example in front of me. I'm also very creative and wanted to create something that's mine and share it with the world. I never thought it would be skincare, to be completely honest with you. This came about quite organically. As I alluded to before, I struggled with my skin throughout high school and found something that worked for me, and I wanted to share that with the world. I struggled with my skin in lockdown, especially because I had way too much time in front of the mirror. I had way too much time to not have makeup on and see it. So I wanted to try something new. I I tried the homemade version of the Himalayan pink salt facial spray and it really worked. The only problem with it was that I had to keep making it again and again because bacteria would really easily grow on that. So if anyone's making homemade skincare, just have that in mind. And yeah, I wanted to reach out to a manufacturer that could make this for me professionally with formulators and yeah, that's how the first product was created and then the skincare brand. And I guess No Bad Days, the name itself has come from the fact that I had many bad days from having bad skin and still to this day, if I pick my skin, I have moments when I just don't want to go out. But I guess No Bad Days as a brand is telling you that there is more to life than your skin. There's more to life than, the way it looks for a day, and confidence can get you through a lot more. So, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, that's why I started a skincare brand specifically.
What did you think you were going to be? Like, did you have any ideas of like, because you said you always planned on starting a business of some sort. Did you have any like
Yeah.
other ideas before this organically appeared, you know?
Well, I just always knew I wasn't meant for the 9 to 5 because I gave my 110% and not always received that back. So I knew that I wanted to be my own boss and maybe have a different path for someone else, once I have my own staff at some point. I don't at the moment, but once I do, I want to create, excuse me, an environment where they want to come to work and they want to make a difference and they can develop their career and maybe move on if that's what they want, but not just be a number. So I don't know if I thought about what I would be, but I just knew that I wanted to be a leader. I did sell products before this on Amazon, which were shelves. I very shortly realized that if I'm not passionate about the business, it's not going to go very far. So, because I wasn't passionate about shelves, I didn't care for very long. The money was good, but it just wasn't enough for me. I needed it to be more meaningful than that. And so skincare is a really good example because I'm helping other people and I'm also learning heaps. I'm learning so much having a product made in New Zealand and also distributing it myself. So there's a lot more involved. So I didn't have a specific product or business that I thought I would have in mind. I just knew I wanted one.
Absolutely. Did you specifically know that you wanted to always, like, once you got started, that you always wanted to have the products like manufactured right here in New Zealand? Was that
Yes,
like a goal that you had in mind?
100%. I didn't even look elsewhere. I know that maybe I should have done a bit of research. I could have gone to Australia or China or Korea, or America, but having it close to home, especially around COVID, it was so important to support local. It was so important to have it homegrown. Yeah, it wasn't debatable. That was one of the things that I knew straight off the bat that I wanted. Not only a New Zealand manufacturer, but an Auckland manufacturer, so I could physically go in and see them and work with them really, really closely once COVID allowed us to.
What was it like working alongside the manufacturers and the like growing, like the building it all process?
Oh, amazing. They were amazing. I must say they turned me down at first. So I had a bit of a bump in the road, but I had to just go back and go, look, this is what is good for both of us. I had to convince them, but they did take me on and they were fantastic the whole way through, everyone in that company. And I would go in before work or my lunch break and have a meeting with them. I took all my ideas to them and then they'd explain what might not work in terms of the formulation, what natural preservatives we needed. And then they would send me samples. I tried them. I really focus on the experience as well as the efficacy. So for example, the spray, the first sample of the spray, when you shook it up, it foamed up. And so that was an absolute no. I just thought it's a water-based product. This cannot be foaming up when people shake it up. So that was straight away like, we're changing that ingredient that is not going in there and it smelled funny. Yeah, I don't want to, even if it's more expensive, I don't want to bring out a product that is not enjoyable. And so that balance of having a natural product that works and also smells good was a bit of a challenge. But yeah, they were amazing. Producing the first two products was my favorite part, probably.
It's awesome to hear. Did you design like the packaging and things yourself, or did you work alongside a designer doing that? How did that work?
I had a very strong idea of what I wanted to achieve. My best friend from high school is a graphic designer, so that's very handy.
Very,
She has been she has been a very big part of No Bad Days, helping me all the way through from the very beginning. I think she might have been one of the first people I told about the idea. And it's funny looking back at the original designs because they look nothing like what we have now, but the design process was really interesting as well. In terms of the packaging, I didn't want plastic. So pretty quickly I decided on glass. I think it's because my homemade version of the spray I put into my dad's old CK bottle and like cologne and I loved it. I'm like, this feels great. And so I wanted a glass bottle from the beginning and then paper packaging. So it could, I guess I was looking ahead. So I'm like, okay, what would this look like in store? What would this feel like? What information is needed? So I did all the research and the compliance side of things. And then my friend Sophie helped me with everything else, with the design and the social media side of things.
I absolutely love that you've got that awesome support system there
Oh, it is.
that have helped
I'm
as well.
very fortunate to have that. I understand not a lot of people have a close friend who's a graphic designer, so that was it all came together. I think it was right place, right time, right people. It all worked out really well. And I'm not saying my process was easy. I'm not saying that building a business is easy by no means. But I felt like it's been an easy journey because it was right. It felt right. It was the right time. Yeah.
Just like flowed relatively smoothly
Yeah, it
in
did.
terms
Yeah.
of process. How can we support small businesses with like a low budget, especially coming for
Right.
like the uni students, the students who may not have the money to instantly spend on the product, but do love what you do
Yes.
and want to help you grow?
Oh, absolutely. There are so many ways that anyone can support a small business, whether that's you don't feel like the products are good for you, but you still want to support the business. There's ways for that as well. You can follow their social media, subscribe to their mailing list. You can like, comment, share, follow. And people say that for a good reason. The content that you make gets pushed out more and more when more people engage with the content. So what you're doing there is giving this business an opportunity to push their content out to more people who might be interested and might be ready financially to invest in your product. So while you're if you're not in a financial position to do that, you can, push the content out to others. Otherwise, there are other ways like word of mouth. You can also maybe buy it with a friend and try it. You can do afterpay. There are other ways of supporting a business, but it doesn't actually have to always be buying a product. There are so many free ways that you can support a business, and even just messaging the person and go, hey, I think you're doing great. And in the future, I'd love to buy some, because especially small businesses are run by often single people who are behind everything. So to get an encouraging message like that might be the thing they need to keep going that day. So it could be very small.
As somebody who is on that end of like broke uni student life at the moment, it is hard because you see so many things that you would love to buy, you'd love to support, and you're like, well, how can I actually do something to be like, yes, I love you, support you, but right now
Yeah,
I don't have the financial means
absolutely.
to support you in that way, so to speak.
Yeah. And that's very common. And I think even with friends and family, it's such a huge one, because your friends and family want to support you, obviously. So they might buy a product because they're being nice at the beginning, but then all the other support might drop off a little bit because they're like, oh, I bought a product and that's all right. But you don't have to buy a product if it's not for you. If you know that you're not going to use it, no need. I think there's a slight pressure to do that, and I think it's really lovely, and obviously the financial support's really good. But as I said, there's so many different ways, and I don't think friends and family or anyone else should feel pressured to buy something that they wouldn't use. That just makes no sense.
Absolutely. Do you have stockists in New Zealand or are you solely online at this stage?
I do have stockists. So I went to the gift fair in, I think, July or August, which is a trade show in Auckland. And that is where I got my first stockist, and it was such an exciting time. I had Flo and Frankie sign up there, which was one of the biggest achievements throughout the business, because it was 10 months into the business. They came and rearranged a shelf to see what it would be like in their stores. And then the order came, I think, within a week. And yeah, they're stocked in 17 stores, which they're running low on currently. So I will need to make sure that they reorder, and that it is right for their customers. But that regardless, that is the biggest achievement for the business. Yeah. And then I also have three lovely pharmacies as well around the country. So there's 20 stores around New Zealand
Oh,
and
wow,
online.
that's such an achievement. That's really cool. Do you have any best skincare tips that you can share? Anything that you'd say, do, don't?
Okay, so I'm still learning as well, but I have definitely picked up a lot of tips along the way. I would say always take your makeup off before bed. So makeup, sunscreen that you're using throughout the day, definitely wash it off with cleanser, double cleanse if you can, before bed, and better yet, when you just get home. So the more no makeup time your skin can get, the better. And then also probably hydration. So hydration is pretty key for any skin type. Obviously, drinking water is one of those things that people always mention, but I guess I more mean locking the moisture in. So putting serums and moisturizers on damp skin so it absorbs better and also locks it in. And I think one of the misconceptions about hydration is that oily skin type doesn't need it, but you do, because you're oily because your skin's overproducing that moisture because you're dried out. So by putting moisturizer on, you're helping your skin not be as oily.
Fabulous. Thank you. I definitely think the hydration one is something that gets very mixed up about the expectations of it. Like whether it's different skin types need different hydration or whether they all actually
Oh,
do need it as well. We've kind of touched on this, but what have been your biggest struggles and biggest successes in your journey so far?
biggest struggles. Biggest struggles have probably been not comparing myself to others. It sounds small, I guess, but being a small business and the only person in the business, I often would scroll social media and then see another small business owner and they're doing so much better than me. And then I would start comparing. And I had to really stop doing that because you never know what is behind that. How long have they been doing it for? What's their financial situation? What's their support like? You always have to think about your own journey, what you want to achieve, and just keep at it. And I have to really remember all of the big wins that I've had because even what I mentioned with Flo and Frankie, like that's definitely one of the biggest successes. That's incredible. I never thought that in 10 months I would get a retailer like Flo and Frankie. And so it's very important to get caught up and want to do more and more and more and more. But it's so important to take a step back and realize what you've achieved already. And I guess one of the biggest achievements at the beginning was actually getting the idea into reality, making the dream come true, having all these concepts and what I want to achieve, to then actually having products that people are using and it's in store. It's still mind blowing that it's come to life in just such a short amount of time. So the fact that I was able to do that is my one of my biggest successes for sure. um, but I guess another struggle would be not too much of a struggle, but something to be aware of if you're wanting to start a business is juggling everything. So I still have my 9 to 5. So juggling my 9 to 5 and the business and family and friends and me time is a lot in 24 hours. Oh, and sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sleep. Who needs that?
Yeah, not me. Absolutely. It's so important to think about all of that.
Fabulous. Yeah, that definitely so much to think about, and definitely stopping and thinking about what you have already achieved instead of always looking ahead to what can I do next? What can I do next? But what have you actually done?
Exactly. Look, tomorrow's never promised, so just enjoy today and everything that you've achieved so far. Even like I'm really proud. I just met you not long ago, but I'm so proud of you for starting the pod. You mentioned last time that you just had the idea and you created all the socials and you just went for it, and that's what you got to do. You just have to go for it sometimes. Yes, there's planning to do here and there, but life's short.
Exactly. Like, as bad as it sounds, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. So why would I not
Yeah,
live out the things I
exactly.
want to be doing now?
Yeah,
Well, you talked about the
absolutely.
fact that you have a 9 to 5 as well as running No Bad Days. So, what does a typical day look like for you trying to do all of it?
On a good day, I'm not too tired. I'll wake up at 5. I'll go to boxing or kickboxing. Your face. Yeah, yes. I know. And the funny thing about that is I am not a morning person at all. I love sleep. I could sleep 12 hours. But if I work out in the morning, then that's a huge achievement because I will not work out in the afternoon. And also, I guess what I mentioned earlier, boxing and kickboxing is the only thing I found that does get me up in the morning, and part of that is the community that comes with it. It's like a family, so that gets me up. And then obviously the coffee afterwards keeps me going. So I'll have coffee with my friends and then go home, get ready for my 9 to 5, and then I'll go into the office or work from home, depending on the day. In my breaks, if I can, check emails or socials here and there, but there's not much work that I can do during the day, obviously on no bad days. And then go home, cook dinner with my boyfriend, maybe any chores if I get around to that. That's yeah, that doesn't happen too often. And then I often just go and work on no bad days after that. So I've had my dinner, go log back in and pack orders if there's any orders. And I don't get orders every single day. It's not like this massive booming business yet. So I have a bit of freedom, but at the same time, I'm constantly working on getting the name out. So whether that's marketing or answering emails or content planning, filming TikToks or whatever it may be. And then I might work till midnight or 2 a.m. some days. And it can get really, really long. So if I do that, I probably wouldn't get up at 5 again in the morning. So I'm not overly crazy. I have definitely, I've done that before, but I cannot do that for too long. I'm trying to cut back on working late and just prioritize sleep because it's so incredibly important. I can't burn out. Even last night I worked till midnight and I woke up this morning with a sore throat. So I just know that sleep is so important. I can't keep doing extremely long hours and I'm working on that. I think prioritizing and good time management is what gets you through all of that and just making sure that you do small steps at a time instead of trying to achieve every single thing on your to-do list.
Definitely. You're girl bossing just a little too hard there. Oh, I could not. I find my class hard enough, and then I go to bed at like 9:30 if I'm being completely honest. And up at 6:30, and that's like borderline enough sleep for me. So I
Look, it is a
how you
lot.
do it.
It is a lot, but I've always been a night owl. I work really well at night, so it's a bit of a problem because it doesn't work with a 9 to 5 very well, but I just love working at night personally.
Fair enough. I guess if you find out what works for you, you may as well connect in with that. And we have one lucky last question, and then we'll wrap up. But do you have any words of wisdom for girls who are trying to find their way into starting their own small business or a successful business or just business in general?
Just go for it. Follow your dreams. Start small. If it's too much financially, make sure you have your support system. That's both emotional and financial, but mainly emotional, to be completely honest. I think one of the things that, you mentioned that I'm girl bossing and this is so much, but what often doesn't get seen is the amount of support I get from my friends and family throughout every single day. So I am very lucky to be living with my parents and my partner and my sister. I constantly have love around me. So that keeps me going. And every supportive, positive word keeps me going. My boyfriend will do the dishes and the washing or whatever. So just really balancing each other out and making sure that those get done. If I had to do every single thing, there's no way I could do all of this. So I think what I'm trying to say here is if you don't have that, find those mentors, find business friends, someone who can keep you going in times when you are wanting to give up. Because everyone has those moments where you're doubting yourself, you're doubting your business, or you'll be like, what the heck did I just do? Why did I order thousands of these? And I guess imposter syndrome in a sense. So you have to make sure that you have the right people around you to push you back up and go, hey, you're doing this for a reason. You're doing great. Keep going. So the first step would be just to start small, whatever that may be, whether that's creating a social media for it, put a survey together, see if there's interest for your idea, whatever that may be. But definitely surround yourself with the right people who will support you through all of it. And if you're not surrounded by the right people, then they were just in your life for a season or a reason, and that's okay. You don't have to keep them or you don't have to dwell on it. Just find the people who are consistently there. And I think starting a business really makes you realize who the real people are. I said this to you last time that your customers become your friends before friends become customers. And it's so true. And there's nothing wrong with it, but it just makes you realize, who's there for you, who doesn't care all that much. And personally, I'm making mental notes. So like when I'm a millionaire, I know who's coming with me to Bora Bora. That's all I'm saying. But
You say Bora Bora, and I think all about the Tarte brand trip that I've seen all over social media. That's exactly where my brain went to.
except it'll be my support system rather than influencers, maybe.
Yeah, ideally. But yeah, I love that you say the reason or a season because that's something I also live by as well, that people come into your life for a season, a reason, or they're there for good,
Absolutely.
or they're there for the series.
And yeah, I think it's important to realize who those people are and just identify where they sit, and it's okay because they maybe just taught you something, they taught you a lesson. Maybe it's whether it's heartbreak or letting you down when it comes to business, whatever it may be. I think again, life's too short to dwell on those things, and you just have to keep going. You just have to move on, pivot, do a different thing, and be open to change. Oh my gosh, you might have a plan and that goes completely different, but it's one of those one door closes, another one opens, and something better is on the other side for you. And then the other one would be that in business, a no is often a not yet. So just keep going. If you think it's right for you, just keep pushing for it.
I love that. Okay, so if people who've listened to this episode want to be able to follow you, support your business on like social medias, where can they find it? What accounts are we finding?
All of our socials are NBD, so no bad days, NBD Skincare. So they can find us there. And then the website's nobaddays.co.nz.
Oh, fabulous. That's so good. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm sorry I made it so early in the
That's all
morning.
right. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode. It's been great having you. If you have any topics you'd love for me to discuss, want some big sisterly advice, or just want to say hey, just reach out to me on Instagram at It's a Girl Thing Pod, and I hope you join us next week. Stay beautiful.